Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Thanks for joining the conversation. Selena Tan is an award-winning actress, producer, director, writer, and performer. You can watch her in Crazy Rich Asians, as well as the new Amazon Prime film Shotgun Wedding with Jennifer Lopez and Josh Duhamel. Selena shares the behind-the-scenes stories about filming during COVID and the villa lockdown with fellow co-stars Lenny Kravitz, Jennifer Coolidge, Sonia Braga, Cheech Marin, Steve Coulter, and Darcy Carden. Imagine being in the Dominican Republic while Lenny Kravitz plays Paul Simon hits by the pool during their downtime. I can think of worse ways to spend my time in lockdown. Selena is from Singapore and was gracious to stay awake for a fun conversation about food, culture, and society. I was fascinated to learn about Noa, which means chill and relaxed in Hokkien. And after speaking with Selena, it truly reflects her style. She also tackles social justice in Singapore as an ambassador for the LGBTQ+ movement, Pink Dot, which focuses on support for the freedom to love. I've been enjoying these conversations and hope you have too. If you have, please rate my podcast on your platform of choice and share it with others. If you would like to support with a donation to help keep my podcast going and support the work I do, you can become a patron of the show by visiting my website or patreon.com/sifumimichan or send me a gift on my registry. For comments or suggestions, reach out on social media at sifumimichan. Now, on with the show. Hello, Selena. Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast today.
Oh, I'm super excited. Thank you, Mimi.
Well, I say today, but really it's tonight for you because it's daytime where I'm at on the East Coast and you are in amazing Singapore. So you're like ready to go to bed. So thanks for staying awake to do this interview.
No problem. I'm always happy to talk to people about, from wherever I am, which happens to be hiding in the toilet at the moment.
Oh my gosh, feels like such an exclusive right now. Very, very, very exciting, very exciting. And
welcome to my loo.
Fantastic. I was really curious though, because I know that you travel a lot. And for me, I need like multitudes of time when I travel across time zones like you are to kind of get acclimated and situated. Are you just like an expert? Do you have like a routine that you do? You're able to just switch time zones, or is it a challenge?
No, I think when I was younger, I think same with everybody, when you're young, these things don't really matter at all. You're like just flipping back and forth, like way across time zones. And you're just like, oh, I can do this, I'll sit here for the next 16 hours, 17 hours, and I'll be fine. I'll be up like a bunny the next day. Not so much anymore. Nowadays, you really start having these conversations with people your age, and they go like, so I think it's an hour it's a day different to recover for every hour that there is in time difference. So I really hold that to be true now. Yes.
Yes, that's why I'm asking, because I feel the same way. When I traveled as a young child, I was very fortunate to be able to travel the world, and I haven't made it to Singapore yet. That's like one of the main spots on my list. I have actually.
Well, we're waiting for you.
I have a really good friend who's also an actor there, Robin Leong. I don't know if you know him, but
of course I know him, Robin.
Yeah. So we're really good. We're like childhood friends, and so
wonderful. So you have to come visit real soon.
I know. It's been like when I was living in Hong Kong, he's like, okay, let's meet up. And it just never worked out, so I'm like, I have to go. It is so on my list. And I just, same thing. Like I was saying, I take a while to acclimate now. So thank you for adjusting to the time zone and
not
being
at
so
all,
accommodating.
Not at all.
Well, I want to say congratulations, because you've been doing such an amazing body of work recently. And we know that you're up and coming in this Shotgun Wedding opposite Jennifer Lopez. And that's very exciting. Tell me a little bit about the character that you're playing. I'll be honest, I haven't seen it yet, but and kind of what you kind of loved about working on the film.
Well, you have no excuse because it's on Prime in the US.
I know, but
I'm told it's like number one there, and and everybody's really enjoying it. Back here in Singapore, it's still in the cinemas, so we're like people are watching it in the theaters or waiting for it to come out on Prime. So the whole experience, I think, Mimi, was very surreal because here I am, in Singapore, and I got a call one day, and I said, would you like to read for this part? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And the role is actually the role of a she runs this resort together with her husband. It's a wedding destination resort. It's set in the Philippines. It's a beautiful island. Supposedly the Philippines, where there are many thousands and thousands of beautiful islands. But we filmed this one in the Dominican Republic during the COVID lockdown. I mean, the COVID years, 2 years ago.
Wow. It must feel like a while ago now.
Yeah.
So much has happened in those 2 years of COVID lockdown and everything. My husband's actually, his family's from the Dominican Republic. So I know it is a beautiful place, beautiful place.
Beautiful.
So I do love the plot line though. And I know I'm a horrible podcaster because I really should have done my homework. I have like writers on all the time. And I'm like, so I haven't read your book completely yet, but I love you and adore you. But what I did read was that it's, like it's a lovable family, but very opinionated, and like then it whirlwinds into all this like crazy hostage situations. And I said, this sounds like a fun action film, but at the same time, like I've been to a lot of family weddings, and being Asian American, my mom's Chinese Jamaican, but my dad is very originally from China. I'm like, weddings can feel like a hostage situation and have a lot of drama.
Sure. I've been held hostage at many weddings before. You feel like you're like sitting there and all the aunties and uncles are going like, so, like, when's this happening? When's that happening? That kind of stuff. So yes, weddings and hostage situations are quite synonymous.
Exactly. That's why I said, this plot really isn't that far-fetched, because really, weddings can feel a lot very, very hot. But I feel like that's very cultural as well, right? And so like in a lot of and I don't love stereotypes, but I mean, I have to admit, a lot of them are true, because the aunties and uncles, you're right. You're not married yet. When are you getting married? And then you're married. When are you having children? And then, it's
exactly.
like always the next thing.
When's the second one?
So you felt that too, of course.
Yeah, but in a way, there's hostage and then there's hostage, because in this movie, they really took the hostage situation very literally to the next level, to the very top level. Right. And what I loved about it is that you do get that rom-com. It's very J-Lo. She really is that queen of that rom-com genre. Yeah. And I love Josh in this as well. He really brought a different kind of character, he made really interesting choices as like the older groom, and then, with the older bride, and he was still very committed to the wedding and wanted to make everything work perfectly. And then, with the real hostage situation, there became this real action flick. So I went in Singapore when the film first got released in the theaters here in the cinemas. I had my whole family with me, and my husband and my brothers and everybody. And I tell you, every single person loved it. I mean, of course, I was in the movie, but I think they really loved it, because my husband and my brothers were like, oh my goodness, a rom-com, and there's all this action. So many people die. There are grenades going off, bim, bam, boom, boom, boom. They loved it. They thought it was great fun.
Yeah, I think that's the something for everyone. Like those who love the rom-coms get that bit, but then if you're kind of dragging your partner, whoever that may be, and they get they like the action stuff, so that could be a lot of fun. Did you love Jennifer Lopez movies, like kind of through the years? Have you been a big fan?
I mean, I really enjoy rom-com. I'll admit it. I really do enjoy a good rom-com, and I love the J-Lo, with Made in Manhattan and stuff like that. I really she's got this enduring quality about her. You just want to root for her in the movies, and I've always felt that about her. So it was great to be able to be in a movie like that with her.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. What a great opportunity. And I do want to talk a little bit about just kind of the dynamics of film and how like Asian representation in general has kind of evolved. And of course, we're seeing this unbelievable, time and moment where Everything Everywhere All at Once has such a huge Oscar nom with, just a cast that was absolutely phenomenal. But like, I just didn't imagine that. Like even a year or two ago, right? I just didn't imagine that we would be there. And as someone in the industry, as somebody that has been working and doing, theater and all this all your life, like, what are your feelings about where we're at in this moment of time?
It's really interesting because I really, it was because of Crazy Rich Asians filming in Singapore. I got a bit role in that. And when we were filming here, everybody in the cast is more or less Asian. And to us, I guess, because I do work in Asia, it's not that out of the ordinary because we're all Asian, right?
Yeah.
But working with the Americans and people from outside of Asia, I really came to understand how important the film was to everyone. And when it got released, and I really felt that there was momentum. There was some Oscar nods as well, and also I felt like suddenly I was receiving scripts. Where like Asians were sort of like really featured, or like they tried to squeeze in an Asian here or there, and sometimes they were even Singaporean, I suppose, because of Crazy Rich Asians. And I guess being the Asian community being quite gung-ho and hardworking, and who've been putting all their effort and their lives out there working at it, really took that opportunity, and with Michelle sort of in Everything Everywhere All at Once, she really sort of pushed this momentum, and that's how I feel we've come to this situation where this wonderful state that we're in, of representation in Hollywood.
Absolutely. And believe you me, when Crazy Rich Asians came out, I did see it. I thought, wow, this is groundbreaking. This is the turn. Like, I don't know if you remember Better Luck Tomorrow, like back at that time, like we were in the early 2000s, we're like, okay, this is going to be the one. Like it was like just seeing the Asian representation, Asian American, especially here, like, just like, oh, okay, this is just, it doesn't have to be the Asian character. It's just, no, this is the person who lives in this house. This is just like an everyday film. And so it took a while, but once we saw Crazy Rich Asians, and it's so great that you were able to to work on such a, groundbreaking film there as well. But, and of course, like in Singapore, like you said, I mean, if they didn't film in Singapore for that would have been something, because the book itself, it's so very like an homage to all the different things and the dynamics of Singapore, which I understand, even though it's fiction, there's a lot of truth to like the difference of, class and wealth. And
I think Kevin Kwan has a really keen eye. So when he writes, it rings so true. And, you really love it because you see these characters, you understand who they are. And even though it's set in Singapore, I mean, it is a certain strata of society, which I think you recognize in most urban cities all around the world.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And you've been working mostly in Singapore for the majority of your career. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yeah. Correct. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about your theater experience, because I love theater. And I have a background in, live action performance as well as film. And I know there's such a difference, right? Because in theater, you get that immediate audience response and audience response. And it's just like, do you have a preference, since you spent such a long time in theater and that you're working in film now? How do you see the two?
Well, I started doing theater from a very young age, I suppose, in community theater. So my heart will always be there. Like you said, the communion with the live audience is something that's so exciting and irreplaceable, really. So as the performer, when you're on stage, you are really on this ride with the audience for that particular show. And so there's something very gratifying in that, in that journey, in that stepping on stage every performance. But I've also done television. I've also done film locally. And now that I've done these two films with the studios in the States, in Hollywood, I really start to begin to understand that film is really quite, it's same, but it's really different. I'm really beginning to understand and see, because I could observe, when we were filming in the Dominican Republic, and like what the directors did, and how the actors who were, film actors really, how they brought their craft to the table. You could really see, because it really is a director's medium, film. But at the same time, if you are a savvy film actor, you will know or you will understand what the director is trying to get, where he's looking at you from, what is the perspective that he's trying to get from you. And I think, that's where it is exciting for me, because I'm like discovering this whole new world of this film craft, which I'm really enjoying. And I hope I get many more chances to do it. Yeah.
Yes, I'm pretty sure you will. So, absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
I did see Crazy Rich Asians, of course. and don't worry, I will be checking out your film, and hopefully everybody listening will also check out the film too, and leave you lots of nice comments and share their thoughts. But
thank you.
I would love to hear a little like how you kind of got started into acting. So, I mean, it seems like you've had a long career in, like you said, community theater. Was that how you got your start, or were you always kind of a, like to do shows and making people laugh?
I think when we were young, we all just sort of did a lot of role playing. Whether it's in classrooms and in school. I had very wonderful teachers who would allow us to stage concerts and do little skits and put things up for our friends on Teachers' Day or Mother's Day or Children's Day or any kind of day that we could find an excuse to perform. So I started really in school, singing and performing, putting little skits together. And then when I was about 14 or 15, I cannot remember now, but a teacher, brought up a brochure and said, look, there is a drama camp that's happening, somewhere on, and would you like to join? Your parents would have to pay this amount. And I'd never heard of such a thing before. It's always kind of like in school. So my parents agreed. I went off. I think it was like a 4-day camp or something. And it kind of blew your mind, because you're suddenly with really like-minded people from all across the island. And we're all there, learning mime and how to do some improv, how to play theater games, and just really having a good time learning from each other and enjoying each other's company. And then from there, I just, from that experience, I started doing little bit things with the American community theater company that was in Singapore. A lot of the expats, American expats in Singapore, were staging like musicals like Annie Get Your Gun or The Sound of Music or whatever. And we would kind of be the kids that were kind of like running around at 14, 15, doing the little bit parts. So that kind of, but to me, it was always, in Singapore and in this Asian society at that time, it was never an option to do this for, a career. It was unheard of. Nobody had a career in as an actor or whatever it was, a singer or whatever. So to me, it was very clear. It was extracurricular. It was just kind of like after school activity, something to have fun in. And I continued to do that. And I went on, I studied, I went on with my studies as per an Asian child. I got my degree. I came out. I practiced a little bit. I got my law degree. I came out. I practiced law for like maybe a couple of years, but I was still sort of performing on the side at nights. And it just got to a point where it was too tiring, and the responsibilities were too great. And I think at age 20, I can't remember, it was 28, 29 or something like that, I decided, okay, I was young enough and I didn't have any dependents. My parents could still feed me. I would go out there and I would try this performing thing for a little while. Yeah. So I left the law firm and I started performing. And then the jobs just sort of came. Where they didn't come, I created my own production house to stage my own stuff. I dabbled in stand-up comedy. I did a lot of cabaret. And then 1 year passed, and year after year after year, and here we are.
You're making it sound like such an easy journey, but as someone who runs a small business and somebody who I'm like, man, this is wow. I really admire you. That's a lot of work. You're like, I just staged my own productions, and then here we are. I was like, okay. I mean, did people kind of give you a hard time though? Because I mean, not to be into my feminist world, but like as a woman also, like trying to be a director or a producer, be the one that's like, I'm going to do my own thing. Was that more challenging, or what's the dynamic there?
I've never felt that. I have never really felt like there were things that I could, areas I couldn't go to or things I couldn't do. I have a very supportive family and parents, and I just I don't know. I just didn't think so much. I think I just did. And at that age, when I was young and like, no jet lag, I had like energy to spare. I was just taking jobs left, right, and center, whatever, because as a freelancer, you're always so scared. Like you don't know when your next paycheck's going to come. So really, I was just like on a treadmill, just moving. And then, and things just sort of, I guess I'm very blessed. Things kind of fell into place. I met really good people along the way who helped me or who inspired me. And really just one production went into another. And I think the one thing that has led me where I am is that I am quite possessive of what I create. So I because of that, I think I'm in the driver's seat a lot. I want to run my own ideas. Yeah. I want to, put something across that is my own voice. And so, in that sense, I sort of had. I just went at the pace that allowed me, that I could go, and life's been pretty good.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think you, like you said, you're blessed, but also I'm a martial artist, right? So for me, it's very much hard work. Yeah. And I can see that you are a hard worker. Like it does not just come with, I'm just a nice person and it all happens because I think you're a hard worker.
I'm a hard-working, lazy person, I think. I mean, I really, but there have been really wonderful periods where creatively I have managed to find a voice, like when we created the Dim Sum Dollies, which is our cabaret trio. It became this sort of satirical political comedy here in Singapore at a time when I think political comedy was really needed and is still needed. Because, we're quite, how shall I put this? We're quite a tightly run country. And because of that, through comedy, I think we are able to allow people to sort of let off steam, to sort of reflect and understand what is actually happening to them, done for them, to them, all of that. So in a way, I'm very grateful that I found that time and space to create this trio, and we've been through quite a bit, and I hope to continue to keep going with it.
Yeah, can you share a little bit more about the trio and Dim Sum Dollies? I'm really interested.
So the Dim Sum Dollies is just three of us. We are three girls, different sizes, different heights, different intensity, but we're sort of always living out loud and sort of out there, full of sequence. We do like a cabaret trio where we sing songs, we do skits, we do skits about social situations or political situations or whatever is happening in the world. So we've done two of our big shows, the History of Singapore, Part 1, was like from colonial days all the way to when we got independence. And we've done History of Singapore Part 2, where we could deal with sort of like the political situations that we were living in, the transfer of power. I mean, it all sounds really heavy, but it's not, because we do it very tongue in cheek. We sing a song, we poke a few jokes here and there, people laugh, and then, they let off steam, as we say.
Yeah, I feel like that is so essential, and what you just said earlier was needed, right? Because we exist in this time and space where even though you're across the world, literally, and I'm here, we could probably share similar stories about here's what's happening here and the social justice issues and all of these things. And I'm kind of an activist in this community. And so this is why I'm very fascinated and very interested in that, because I feel like you have to be able to laugh. You have to be able to also talk about it, right? So if you don't dialogue and if we don't have these conversations or bring up the histories and things like that, then we're just going to keep going backwards. I think it's really amazing.
Yeah, and it's wonderful to be able to use humor to reach out to a wider audience. I mean, we couldn't, I think, even till today. I mean, I know you guys have like Saturday Night Live and stuff like that, but even till today, I think on television in Singapore, you wouldn't be able to get away with as much as we do get away with, say, in the theater, because, the theater has a less viewership. People actually have to buy a ticket, come into the theater. They're buying into your show. So we do get away with a lot, but the more people we reach, the more people are used to hearing about things being spoken about or laughed about. It allows people to start to sort of think and demand certain things about their lives, or understand where the boundaries and the OB markers, sort of out of bound markers, sort of are.
Right. And just so I can have a little clarity, and if you're comfortable talking about it, like, what would be something like in Singapore culture, or like even for you growing up, that was like, no, we don't talk about this, right? Like, that's, we keep this at home, or what are the things that are kind of taboo that should be talked about, I guess?
I think previously most everything is not talked about. I mean, we talk about it in sort of whispers, sort of like amongst our own little family units, or amongst close friends or whatever. But, we're not really, we don't go out there and sort of like shout about sort of like the dirty laundry or the, stuff like that. But now I think as we get with the internet, and with us being really more global, or have access to stuff that is global, people are much more open about their ideas and about what they can and cannot talk about. But in terms of what we are legal, I mean, what we could get into trouble for talking about, or for dealing with, is still the issues of race, religion, and politics. I mean, more or less. I mean, you don't really. Yeah, you don't really. I mean, you have to be quite roundabout or smart in a way that you want to sort of poke holes or point at the king or whatever. But you kind of need to be, in the theater with the satirical comedy. The dim sum dollies are able to do that a little bit better.
Right. That's incredible. And I'd love for you, if you're comfortable, sharing about Pink Dot, which I saw you're an ambassador for, and I absolutely am excited to hear about that.
Well, I have very close friends who actually worked really hard on the campaigns and on Pink Dot, and not just on Pink Dot, but on the repeal of Section 377A of the Penal Code, which made illegal homosexual acts between consenting male adults. So this was, I think, Pink Dot 14 years, I want to say, but this is probably 15 years ago. It started because, homosexual acts were illegal, and because it is illegal, the views, the societal views towards it couldn't. How do you say? We couldn't progress. So a lot of things were hidden. People were left. There was a lot of shame involved. There's a lot of people had no access to literature, to important information, to community. So I think a bunch of people got together, and they came up with this thing where it would be a peaceful sort of picnic in the park. And I don't know if people know this, but in Singapore, there is only one place in the country where you can have a peaceful, a protest. Of course, it has to be peaceful. And it has to be registered. You have to register it. And it can only happen in this park called the Hong Lim Park. It's just a small green space. And so they registered, and then they started this thing called Pink Dot in Hong Lim Park. And the first year was just like a very small group of people sort of gathered with pink balloons and umbrellas or whatever. And we made a little dot, and they photographed it. And as the years went by, it became like an event to attend. People who felt that they were allies, or people who felt like they needed to belong to a community, or they wanted to have a voice, even though legally it was still Section 377A was still there. More and more people came until the dot became the entire park, basically. And then finally, last year, it was announced that they would repeal Section 377A. And I think it was early this year. It's finally been repealed by this last parliament.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah. That's community work for you right there.
I mean, really kudos to all the activists who really worked hard for, the last 14, 15 years and beyond. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and this is what I mean about us having just like these global connectivities. It's like, even though, especially here in America, we're supposed to be the place of progress and we're like this, very advanced place. Sometimes we're taking so many steps backwards, but like at the end of the day, us as humans all have very similar struggles, all have very similar issues. And like, we all want the same things, right? Like happiness for our family, health, love. And I love, kind of hearing that there's a connectivity, but that's so powerful. And really, thank you for sharing and educating me. And now I know I have another place to visit when I go to Singapore. I'm getting my checklist of my all the amazing things I want to see and do. As a martial artist, I'm always very curious about the craft and the physicality of things like the audition process, or right before you go on stage, or right before you go onto camera. Do you have a routine for yourself? Is there anything like with breathing, or do you just like get yourself psyched up? Do you have a song you listen to? Do you have any sort of like regiment that you do pre-game, is how I'd call it?
I've been told that I yawn a lot backstage, so when we did Dim Sum Dollies, the first couple of years, it was in a smallish theater, and then in 2004. It had gained some popularity, and so we decided to stage it in a 2,000 seater, 1,942. So it was kind of 2,000 people, and it was a full house on the opening night. And the three of us were standing backstage, and you could hear the crowd, in the front, and every, we were all nervous, of course. And then my fellow Dim Sum Dolly, Pam Wee, turns to me, and just at that time, I'm yawning, and she's like, "How can you be yawning? What's wrong with you? What kind of person yawns when?" So I think for me, it's just I really need to find a way to relax. I feel like when we're doing a stage work, especially, we have the rehearsals are done. So like if you've had that good rehearsal period, that period where things have been set in stone, your muscle memory is there, you know everything sort of inside out. The only thing to do really is to find a way to relax, so that your muscles can sort of like, everything else can sort of do the work. Because I found that when I'm not as prepared as I should be, and then I get tense because I'm nervous, and I'm overly nervous, and I don't allow myself to relax, that's when I go out and I hurt myself. The muscles are not in the right place, your throat is tensing up. And so I think I like to think I yawn to relax.
I'm not like a medical expert or whatever, but I feel like because that brings in oxygen, right? So it makes a lot of sense, actually, right? That you're yawning. But I think visually you're like, wow, she's just totally tired right now and ready to take a nap. She's like, nice. Must be nice, Selena.
Yeah, it's like,
just so chill.
Selena, could you not care any less?
Oh my God. I think it's great. You're like, I'm just that cool about everything. I yawn right before I'm filming with J-Lo, it's all good. It's no big deal.
No, the whole filming experience, because I'm pretty much new to it, I feel. So it does get pretty nerve-wracking. So I did have to sort of like be very conscious about the not getting too tense up. So it really, it takes everything that you have, all the techniques to try and like calm yourself down.
Yeah, I think people underestimate the physicality of acting, right? They think it's all like memorizing your lines and just being emotional or whatever. But I'm like, there's so much going on in your body that will show, and just body language that I think people don't realize how much you have to be doing and how exhaustive it can be, right? So do you yawn after too? Because you're tired by then, right?
Probably.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
And
I love
also,
that so much.
there were quite a lot of night shoots when we did Shotgun Wedding.
Oh.
So yes, there was a lot of yawning and a lot of coughing.
How do you have to stay awake? And that's the thing I think other people don't really realize. Like, when you're filming, it may be at 4 a.m. It may be at 8 p.m. It may be it's just whenever it happens. And sometimes they're long days. Did you have one of those where it was like a 12 hour?
For sure.
Like, just go.
Oh, 12 hours. Yeah. In fact, when we were shooting Crazy Rich Asians was kind of like one of the first times I experienced that crazy sort of overnight. You really feel like you're on jet lag because you're like in a different time zone.
Right.
And we had to film a lot of nights because it would be cooler, first of all, and they needed the darkness. And I remember coming to set like, so we'd be called like maybe at 8 p.m. or something, and we'd come to set, and then the crew would say like good morning, because that's like the start of your day. And I was like, oh my god, that's new. So I found that I found that very funny. I was like, yes, and good morning to you too. And then the first meal would be like at craft services would be like a breakfast spread at 8 p.m. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
So get you in the mindset.
This is us tricking our body that, the long work day is ahead.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And I feel like those nerves and that, because I've spent time on set, and one of the key things is also being fortunate to have a great cast and people around you that help keep you relaxed, that keep things fun. And I mean, it sounds like the people you've been able to work with have all been really great, and like kind of a community, and it seems like it's
sensational.
It makes it easier.
I mean, I've been really blessed with Crazy Rich Asians. We had, because we felt like it was our home ground. We really felt like we were, we had to play host, or I wanted to host, like the people who were coming to film here in Malaysia or Singapore. So we made fast friends, and, it was a really nice, and everybody was in it like a real nice summer project together, to make this amazing thing. And John Chu was really good at sort of bringing the whole team together, which was wonderful. And the same thing in the Dominican Republic, I think, because it was COVID. So like there were 11 of us who stayed together in a great big villa, which was wonderful by the sea. And we really got to know each other, and we love each other so much. And we spent a lot of time. We would wake up, have breakfast together, and then we would spend time chit-chatting and learning about each other's lives. And soon it'd be lunch. And then, on the days that we don't work, we'd just hang out by the pool. We'd be in the jacuzzi. Lenny Kravitz would come by and play music for us, as we were sipping on drinks, on our cocktails in the jacuzzi. And he's great. So he really...
What a tough shoot you had. I'm just
kidding. I know.
Lenny Kravitz coming by giving me a private concert.
It was a hot life.
In the jacuzzi.
Yeah. While Darcy and Kelly and I and Jennifer Coolidge, we would be in the jacuzzi or whatever. And Sonia Braga, of course. And then Lenny would be like, so tell me what you want to listen to. Nina Simone, what do you want to listen to? And so it was such great fun, and everybody really got along. And I feel so privileged to have met these wonderful people. Yeah. Like Sonia Braga. I mean, the number of shows films I've seen her in, and she's really one of the greatest actresses, of all time. And then of course Coolidge was, just amazing fun to be with. And Darcy and Kelly, whom I really had a great time with. And even Cheech and his wife, we really had fun. And Steve Coulter. Steve Coulter is, he plays Larry Fowler, Jennifer Coolidge's husband in the movie. He's like the funniest man alive. He's so he's so witty, and I've never seen a person do so little and get so much effect. It's like he's really amazing. I'm like his biggest fan.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it's so surreal, right? To like fangirl out in front of like all the people, but then be peers and colleagues. And but I feel like something like working on projects like that, it's where you're always constantly learning anyway. Even people who are at the best at their game, I hear that they go in and there's like, no, but I learned this today on set, or I learned this from someone else, because it's so organic. I mean, there's so much that you play off of one another, but it's great that you get to hang out like that, and you almost forced because of COVID. You can't go anywhere else. You're like, you must stay here. You must be friends.
Exactly. And how wonderful it was that we could be friends, and that we actually really got along, which was, it was a real bonus, really.
That could have been a disaster to be in a villa with 11 people you don't like. That could have been its own movie.
Actually, I think it was its own movie. Yeah. We kept thinking, are there cameras around? Right. Is this like Big Brother? Are they
you're in some like MTV like reality show. In the cribs, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to ask, like, what was one of your favorite Lenny Kravitz private concerts songs that you got to hear? No, I'm so jealous.
No, he really just played whatever, he would DJ, and then we would have dinner, and then we would be, and he's very, because he's very sensitive to, he'll watch, and so he'll notice like, that I enjoyed Paul Simon, and then he would, he would play the next song will be Paul Simon, and he's just really, really nice. And they're all like that, very sort of caring. Jennifer Coolidge would come down, and we would be having a movie because there's like a little cinema screening room, a movie room, and we would come down and she'd have party favors. Like, we're filming in the Dominican Republic. She gave us all these sunglasses to choose from. And I think there were like, I don't know, like twirly things and beads. And
wow.
It was just, they're just wonderful people.
Yeah. And what's kind of cool about that is that experience, unless it's like some remote location that in the middle of the jungle, like you may not have again, because COVID was a very specific time that was forced, right? And not that you wouldn't be friends with your castmates, but like, everyone goes back to their home or their hotel or their thing, and some people will go out to eat, but you don't like exist in a villa in the way.
It wouldn't be summer camp. And and it was really like summer loving. It was like, we sort of all fell in love with each other. Aww. We watched each other's movies, and Cheech organized for tacos to be made for us, and so it was lovely. And the villa and the host and the staff, the Dominican Republic people who were looking after us, they were so loving and caring, and they just such hospitable people. So it really made the stay amazing.
Yeah, well, congratulations again on not on just the film, but having this like a remarkable behind the scenes, like, filmmaking experience. And it just sounds absolutely incredible. A vacation you didn't plan for.
Yeah, exactly. When I'm telling it, I go like, oh, I would be jealous.
Thanks a lot, Selena.
Yeah, I know, right?
Mission accomplished. You can go to bed knowing you made me very, very jealous. No, actually, this is the one thing in my older age I've gotten better about, like not really being as jealous versus like, wow, I'm really so happy that you had that experience. That's so phenomenal. Like actually being able to be happy for people is kind of a nice thing now. I think when I was younger, I would have been like, oh, it's not fair. Boo-hoo me. I'm trying to evolve as a human. I'm trying to be better.
Fully evolved.
Oh my gosh. So back to my world, because I am fully evolved, but really this is all about me. Back to my tour of Singapore. What are the things that when you have your family or friends come out, or if your cast came out and said, all right, take me on your greatest hits, like what are the must-sees and do's and eats and things to do in Singapore?
If you, in Crazy Rich Asians, you'll see that one of the biggest things in Singapore is food. We talk about food all the time.
Yes, let's do it.
It's like Singaporean food. So there's a scene where there's a hawker center, and the hawker center is just like these stalls, and they sell all kinds of different food, Chinese food, Malaysian food, local cuisine, Indian food, just satays and laksas and otas and just all crabs and seafoods and everything. In fact, my brother, we have a stall that's just opened up in New York City in Manhattan. It's part of this urban hawker thing, and we created this whole hawker center thing in New York City, in Manhattan, on Manhattan. And it's when we opened it in I think it was November last year, people came. And there's the connection with food, Singaporean food, really sort of was very emotional for a lot of people, and I think if you came to Singapore, that's where I'd be bringing you. I'll say, okay, breakfast, this is the place we're going to. And then, we'll go take in some sights along the way. And then we'll be planning for lunch and then dinner and then supper. So that's, I think, a tour around Singapore is really about all the different types of food that you can find here. And along the way, you get to meet family and friends. And, that's kind of, we're a small island. There are a lot of tourist attractions, but that's what they are. They're kind of like, yes, there are giant trees that you can go see. Yeah, they're great parks. They're nice walks. But at the end of the day, I think you want to sort of meet your Singaporean friends and just go and hang out in all the great food places.
100%. That is my kind of tour, food tour.
Yeah.
Now I'm jealous.
You have to come. You have to come. You don't have to be jealous. You have to get on the plane.
That's right. It's only a flight away.
Only a flight away.
Only a flight away. But I think there's something really, because I tell people the same thing. I've been really fortunate to travel the world and go to a lot of places. And they're like, oh, did you see the whatever tower or this or that? I'm like, yes, but I had this, baguette, or I had this bowl of noodles, or I had this thing, because there's such an emotional, like you said, experience with food. But also you meet the locale, you meet the people, you get to actually absorb yourself into the culture. So you get a feeling of what that country it's like. It's not an Instagram shot of a thing behind you. Like that's not visiting a country to me.
Yeah. Although nowadays you can do the Instagram shot of the food. That's what people do, right? They shoot the food before they eat the food.
That's true. I am very bad about that. I'll think about it. And when I go to take a picture, it's the empty plate of the food.
Me too. So I've started a hashtag like after food porn.
Yeah.
Where you just see the empty plate with all the stains left behind.
That's pretty much it. Like we were in my family and I, my parents, they love going on these cruises. We're in Florida, so we go to a lot of Caribbean and plus my mom is Jamaican, but like they like that fresh fish, that's fried and fresh fish.
Yes.
Found a place. I'm like, oh, we got to get a picture of this. And then when the food came out, it was hot, ready. And then at the end, it was just bones. I'm like, this is not a pretty picture at all. But it
tells the story.
It tells the story. There you go. It tells the story. I like that. It was like after food porn because man, I'm never good about it. I'm like, I don't want to eat my food cold.
No, right? Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I was like, stop, let me eat.
Do you also cook, or is there's just so much available food? You're more of a
I do cook. I mean, I can cook. I do cook, but my family runs a restaurant here. It's like 5 minutes down the road from where I live. So I don't cook anymore. I just hop into the restaurant, or I go pick up some food. So I've gotten pretty lazy about that. Yeah.
But I mean, to be fair, if it's right there and you have a chef at your disposal,
exactly.
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not? Oh my gosh. What other things do you love to do on your downtime other than eat amazing things and be around your friends and family? It sounds like you keep quite busy.
We have this. No. I'm actually really lazy. There's this word. There's this word, and I don't know whether how to explain it. I think it's in Hokkien. I think Fujian. So it's we say it quite a lot. We say noa. And in Singlish, in Singaporean English, when we say noa, we mean just sort of like veg out and just like like just do nothing and just go blank and sort of like just lay down and veg out. So I do that quite a lot.
There is nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing. I'm pretty proud of it. And I mean, I have a kid who I run around with quite. I mean, I have to bring him around. His schedule is busier than mine. So whenever I can noir or veg, that's I take the chance to do it.
Oh my gosh, I absolutely love that, and that should be your own hashtag as well. You can just be like your feet up every time and like with a different backdrow.
Me in different positions.
Yes. I think that's
you guys do
good.
You guys do the yoga. I'll do the noir.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, this kind of plays into your pre-game routine of yawning, right? Like it
does.
There's a bit of a theme here. It
is. I like to be consistent.
Consistency is absolutely key. And do you have like a huge, large family? Because, you see like these films, these Crazy Rich Asians, and it always just seems like, and we always talk about it, or all the aunties and everything. Did you grow up with that dynamic where it was just a lot of people around?
Family. Yeah. Lots of people. Like my mom and dad have huge families. My mom is like, I think the youngest of 13 or 14. And my dad's got I think also about 13 or 14. He's number 8. And so I always grew up with lots of cousins, lots of aunties and uncles. And then we have 5. I'm the eldest of 5. And then now our children have lots of cousins between them as well. So, family gatherings are huge.
Yeah. So you have to rock, paper, scissors for whose house going to host all the 100 people, right?
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
But I love that. I grew up similarly. So anytime you had a family gathering, people are like, oh, I'm having 4 people over. You're like, what is that? That's just the immediate family. That's not, so if not 50 people and there's not like 3,000 dumplings being made, then it's not a party.
No. Yeah. So we just hosted, I think, at the on Boxing Day at the house, and I think there were maybe about 60 at least. And that was like maybe a third of my mom's family.
Right. I mean, has it gotten so large? Because like we find this generationally. So like, at our age, when we were younger, it was like everyone could get together because it was just the aunties and uncles and then the cousins. But now the cousins have families. So then you find like, not that the gatherings get smaller, but more like separated a little bit.
Even when I was younger, I mean, because my mom's and dad's family was so large. I mean, so my mom's the youngest of, I say 14 or maybe 15. So her elder sisters were really much older. And of course, I have nieces who are much older than me, nieces and nephews who are much older than me. And some I see maybe once a year on Chinese New Year. So, it's really tough to keep in touch with the entire family. But nowadays, in the world of Facebook and WhatsApps and, it gets a little bit easier.
Right. Well, and also, I mean, I know we're really kind of out of season, but, here in Florida, I've been doing all the Lunar New Year shows. We do the lion and the dragon, and I'm still going. They still have a show tonight, for example. So happy Lunar New Year. Happy New Year of the rabbit. And what did you do to celebrate? Because I don't get a break. Like most people get to Noir, but I have to do shows all day. It's like a work day for me. But what do you guys do?
Well, this year was kind of crazy because I was at the premiere in LA. Right. Okay. And then I flew back for reunion dinner on the eve of the Chinese New Year. Okay. So we flew back and then we had reunion dinner with my husband's family. And then the next day we visited my family. So we had that. Then I visited my godma's family. And then my family came to visit me because that very night we were flying off to Japan. My family was flying off to Japan. My immediate family was flying off to Japan. So I squashed all my visitations and everything in that one day. And because I'm the eldest in my family anyway, so they're all supposed to visit me. So
that's right.
I sort of forced them. So I sort of forced them all to come, like just before I go off to the airport.
Oh my gosh, that's perfect. No, you're right. You're the eldest. They should all come to you. Have some respect, right?
Rules are rules.
Rules are right. You didn't make the rules. I mean, those are just the rules.
Know.
Yeah. I mean, you can't break the rules.
No, you can't break the rules.
Are they just like unbelievably proud of you though? Like, I know, like you said, there's that's typical. Oh, I'm a lawyer. You're supposed to have this type of career, but like seeing just the success, but also the joy that you bring with the work that you're doing, they must be like thrilled.
I think they are. They're very supportive. I mean, all of them. I know that they are. Like the younger ones, like my nieces and nephews, have only just started to understand, what I actually do for a living. My son's only just beginning to like figure out. Oh, okay. So when you say work, what do you really mean? But generally, my family is very happy for me, and they're generally a very happy bunch of people. I mean, a very how do you say, effusive bunch of people, and they're very lovely. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, I think it goes without saying that, like, in a film like what's coming out, Shotgun Wedding over there, but also you can see it on Prime here already. You have like kind of a balance of everything. So there's something for everyone to kind of enjoy and love. Yes. And that sounds like it would be kind of a big hit in your family dynamic of so many people, and like everybody has something that they can watch. But it's just got to be fun too for them to just kind of be able to celebrate that. And like you said, with Crazy Rich Asians, just that one really must have resonated because it's, like you said, kind of an homage to Singapore.
And everybody loved watching, Singapore on the big screen. It doesn't happen very often. But we were very proud of that moment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I wish you all the bit of success and continuation of this amazing film career that is. And maybe you'll be like a lawyer in your next one because you already have that expertise. And then I'm really looking forward to kind of following you and seeing that Noir hashtag because I think it's going to be the first of its kind. And also, I feel like you have a huge following of people that would really relate to that, and also
thank you
for educating me on all these things.
No, not at all. Thank you for having me. It was lovely to talk to you.
Absolutely, this is an amazing conversation, and I'm gonna call you when I go to Singapore so we can go get those sautés and everything.
You do that. You must get my details from Jessie or Natalie.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you again for being a guest on the show. It was absolutely lovely. Everyone go and check out Shotgun Wedding as well as Crazy Rich Asians if you haven't already. And you can follow Selena Tan. That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to The Sifu Mimi Chan Show. Please subscribe and rate my podcast on your platform of choice and leave a review. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/SifuMimiChan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.